Hello and welcome to another show here at ESC Fan TV. It is Eesti Laul night. We are previewing all the 12 songs going through to Eesti Laul's grand final, which is on Saturday night. Now, how does that work? It's 12 songs. They're going to be voted on 50-50, jury televote. Top 3 go through to a super final. There can only be one winner. Now, you may already have your views on who this winner might be, in which case, go to menti.com, vote 96, 24, 24, 8, and you can vote there and let us know who you think is going to win. If you're still making your mind up, I've got a fantastic panel to help you do just that. Panel, give them all a big wave. Look at them, they're so enthusiastic. Phil and Michelle, that's it, there we go. We are going to introduce you as we go through the songs this evening. But the one person I am going to introduce you all to straight away, obviously, it's my co-host. It's the lovely Stuart.
Hi, Tom. Oh, no one's called me lovely before. That's a first. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. And I thought, you know, once in a lifetime, I'll call you lovely. You know, won't happen again. Just make
it is officially our anniversary, isn't it, today?
It is.
3 years ago, we actually met for the very first time.
Look
how lucky you got.
Oh, yeah, but a friendship of a lifetime, Stu. With the friendship, we got a fantastic YouTube channel out of it. Now, Stu's going to be in the chat room this evening. He's going to be posting loads of your comments. Please keep the conversation going. And we will be also looking at your comments throughout the show as well. And if you want to ask the panel anything as well, please feel free. They love a good question. Now, let's get started. We're running through these songs in order. So we're going to do them in exactly the same running order that you'll get on Saturday night. And let's start off with group number 1. Hey, 3 fantastic songs there. We're going to go straight to our lovely couple from Yorkshire, Phil and Michelle. Good evening to you guys. You okay?
Yeah, we're fine, thank
thanks.
you. So we heard there, Free Again, Heaven's Not That Far Tonight, and One by One. What songs were your favourite in that group? And what do you think the chances of the others are?
Go on, knock yourself out, love.
I think my favourite out of that was Heaven's. What was it? Heaven's Not That Far Tonight. That was. I mean, that's a proper disco banger, isn't it? Sung by 2 women who probably would like to speak to the manager at some point, but they got sparkly frocks on and banged out a good disco classic. It was fantastic.
I loved it. I loved their dresses. I loved the fact that you're not going to mess with them because they will want to see your manager. But it also gave me hope. You look at those and you think, at my age, one day it could be me. I could be doing that for some random foreign country for Eurovision. It's just like they're living my dream, but I could be there in well, I bet they're only 5 years older than me. I could be there in 5 years. It's a good dancey tune. What's not to like about it? Yeah. We need a bit of sparkle and a bit of dance.
Free Again was a nice enough song, but I just didn't think he sang it very well. I thought his vocals were a little bit shaky on that one.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit dull.
It was, yeah. And I wasn't keen on One by One. It was just sort of a bog standard ballad love song, really, a bit forgettable.
Well, but who doesn't like interpretive dance? Said nobody ever.
I love a good interpretive dance. It's fine.
No, nobody does. I disagree wholeheartedly with you. It's rubbish and nobody ever likes it ever. Who else we got? We've got Hans. Oh, yeah, that's Hans. We've got Evo.
No, that's the next group.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got my glasses on. I can only see it.
That's it.
I like the ladies.
Well, I think
I win on group 1.
I mean, we had Stu's Rayleigh challenge earlier in the season. I think I'm looking at you, Phil and Michelle, for maybe, you know, Heaven's Not That Far Tonight. A little bit of a challenge going on there, maybe. get you both in some sparkly suits.
That's easy. You give me a tenner and I'll do it.
Oh, do you know what? Done. Do you know what? That'll be a Eurovision event sorted when we all get back together. Steve, evening to you as well.
Evening.
Now, I'm not saying that the ladies are a fan with a particular section of our panel, but I do believe you've got a soft spot for our disco divas as well.
I certainly do. I mean, you wouldn't want to get behind them in a buffet, and I don't think they'd be reporting you to the manager. They'd just sort you out there and then. 2 left hooks. I think this is all levels of fabulousness. Sparkly dresses, what's not to love? Really good vocals. Yeah, it's a bit old-fashioned, but I loved it. I loved the whole thing. I loved how energetic they were, how much they seemed to enjoy the singing. I just thought it was just fabulous with a capital F. Is it going to win? Probably not. And they put it in the number 2 spot. But I wouldn't mind this going to Rotterdam. I nearly said Amsterdam then. But I wouldn't mind seeing it in the Eurovision final. As to the other 2 songs, I felt the first one, Free Again, was, I agree with Phil, completely out of tune at points. And then he tried to do what I call these rock star moves, lying on the floor and all that. But it's like a rock star with slippers on, really. It just didn't work at all. I did like Hans, actually. I think he's got a great voice, got a good tone to his voice. The song probably wasn't as strong as it needs to be, but I thought he was quite a good singer with a nice tone.
Yeah, I mean, he's from Mauritius, isn't he? He's a Mauritius English-French singer that's come across. I'm going to shout out Neil in the chat room, who suggested that he was singing in a dialect of English that we've perhaps not ever heard before. But I'll be honest, I think he does a good job with that song. Although I will admit I was slightly surprised it did go through to the final, but that's just me. Stu, I know you're not one to kind of back away from having any controversial opinions. So far, the panel have all got behind the 2 ladies. Heaven's Not That Far Tonight. Are you there with that, or are you just going to go for something different?
No, I quite like it, Tom, but it does remind me of a cross between the Pointer Sisters mixed in with a bit of the Weather Girls, Tom. That's what I see. It's like a Melfest reject from back in the day, returning to the days of disco, Tom. It's the sort of thing that Jane McDonald would sing from the top of her Saga cruise ship, singing out to her friends and family. Yeah, not for me, Tom. It's a bit of a banger, but hey, if you're stuck in the 90s, this one's for you. What I do like, however, is is it Milder or Mulder? If we work that one out, yeah, with Free Again.
Milder.
Very George Milder, thank you. Very George Ezra, Budapest. Very in keeping with UK music scene, which is probably why I like it. He's a good performer, actually, and it's very charismatic. It's what not to be said for Hands in Your Pants with One by One. I love the attempted British accent. We get this every year by the Estonians. They have the best grasp of the English accent. It sounds like from London. What I would say, though, is 3 things on this. Melfest wants its ballad back. Liamo wants his clothes back. And finally, John Ludwig wants everything back. Thanks. Back to you, Tom.
Wow. Do you know what? You remind me slightly of that shouty man off of Horrible Histories sometimes, Stu. I'm not going to lie. If you've ever seen that, it certainly plays the favourites. Now, the question is, were any of those your favourites? Go to menti.com and vote and let us know. All you've got to do is key in the code, and that is 96 24 24 8. And the vote results will be revealed at the end of the show. So, 3 panelists introduced, or 4 panelists introduced, 1 group of songs done. Let's take a look and see if there's some more favourites hidden in group 2.
Kiss me so I can give you my time. Drag it. This time it isn't me. I might be the lucky one. I don't need show me. Maybe explain that you don't.
Okay, 3 more songs there, featuring also at the end there we had Uku Suviste, who should have gone to Rotterdam last year, but alas, didn't quite make the cut because of obviously the COVID pandemic. He's bidding to actually go and do the representing this year. Let's go straight over to Martin from Let Me Be the One radio show and blog. Evening to you, Martin.
Evening, everyone. Good to be here.
So what are your thoughts on the 3 songs we got there? And, do we think, well, let's get the question out of the way, is Uku going to do it again and get the golden ticket?
We might as well start with him. Seeing that he was second 2 years ago and he won last year and he got masses of public vote, he's going to be there or thereabouts. So I think he's going to be in the super final. And, I think he's probably going to be up against Koit Toma and Yuri Potsman, in which case that might level it off a bit. But, I think you can't look too much past him. This is a better song, I think, than last year as well. I prefer it. Not as good as Pretty Little Liar. But, yeah, good staging. He really sold it on semi-final. Was it 2 or 1? I can't remember when now. But, yeah, I think he's got a great chance of winning overall at Eesti Laul. The other 2, Carl Killing, I really liked the sort of sitting down, really easy and simple staging, just playing his guitar and then getting up to microphone. That's a great song. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but it's a nice thing to have in amongst all the others. And then Eva Linna, I mean, when I was at Eesti Laul in 2017, everybody loves him. He had, in the sort of halftime interval, so to speak, all the kids and adults wanted to talk to him and have pictures with him and have autographs, and everybody loves him. He's got his son there with him. The song's about relationship between father and son. It's sort of a bit Beatle-ish, indie. So, I think if anybody's going to get in the super final, instead of Koit, Yuri and Uku, I think Eva Linna could do. So, yeah, it's a good 3, this one.
Cool. And just out of curiosity, because I know you are a regular follower of Eesti Laul anyway, Martin. Obviously, you've said that Uku's come second, come first, and now he's through to the final again. What one do you think was the best out of all 3 songs?
I'd have gone with Pretty Little Liar. That was my favourite, and that was the one that Victor Krone beat him with, I think. So yeah, it's that would have been I would have gone with that one personally, but everyone wanted Victor because everyone loves Victor, don't they?
Well, he's a popular guy. He's a popular guy. Just ask the people over at Melody Festival as well. Also, with us this evening, we've got the lovely Ian and Donna. Hey to you two.
Hey, good evening.
How are you?
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah.
Hey, now, 3 gems here. 3 gems. I tell you what. Let's start off with the top one, Supernova. What are you thinking?
I like this one. I do actually like this, and I like the way that the father and son actually work with each other as well. I agree with you, Martin. Actually, it's got a Beatles-esque sound about it, but the way they transition through those minor and major notes, I love it. Just I really think it's nice, and it stands a good chance. You like this one as well, don't you?
Yeah, it was great. I love the interaction between them 2 voices as well, the way they work together. It's also just a really well put together song, and actually it's similar to quite a few in these ones now. It's a proper band song. It's not just a soloist with a backing track. Quite a lot of these through both semi-finals, there's it's there with a band. These are songs that could easily be done properly live. Obviously they're done with tracks for most of it, but yeah, I like that. And
then the other 2. Both. This is a fantastic group.
Really solid.
What is not to love about this? I'd be happy with these as my top 3 actually. Who have we got next? We've got Uku. Obviously,
Carl Killing as well.
Oh yeah, we can't forget Carl. Carl probably is the weakest of the 3, I think, in this particular sort of section. I felt it was fine. He was a little bit nervous. The song's a little bit slow. It's a bit plodding. But overall, it's a nice song. I wouldn't skip it on a playlist,
Yeah, it's again, good song. A bit slow. I think his voice didn't quite keep up with it at the end. He tried to push it a bit far, and he didn't quite have the power in his voice to carry it. But yeah, nicely done. And who have we got left? Uku.
Yes.
Yeah, this is definitely a contender for the win, isn't it?
Yeah, you just look at the production values on that one, and then you think, oh, yeah, clearly he's been there before.
Yeah.
Not sure about the whole chains thing, but it was nicely executed, and then a nice drop, very kabuki-like.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's very well produced. The packages, it's got it ticks all the boxes.
He's got a nice package,
which you need it to do. That's not what I said.
I think you were heading in that direction, Ian. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Now
it is a very good song, and I think that's the one to beat.
Now we've got a question for you in the chat room, Ian. It's from Little John UK, saying, "I'd like to ask Ian whether there's a difference between the production of Estonian and Swedish songs at the moment."
Ooh.
I've not watched all of Melfest in depth, but certainly Estonia feels much more real. Sweden I always finds a bit overly polished, and the live performances, they're very slick. Everything is just over. A big kind of Mr. Sheen spread across the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
it's very finalized, isn't it?
It knocks the life out of it. This feels like it's going more life into it, more real.
Yeah. It's a bit more like you're going to a gig, isn't it, rather than actually just playing a CD in a sense.
Yeah, I did notice on some of the groups, live instruments were mic'd, not the drums, but brass and so on. I would love to know, can't tell from the mix, whether people were playing live. Same with Norway, which they absolutely don't do at Sweden. It's just super polished.
Yeah, I think we proved that with Sweden. I know Stu was most aggrieved at the point that Anton Ebold kind of broke down, but the track basically kept playing. I think that was Stu's meltdown on social media that night. I think look at him; he's looking totally puzzled, isn't he?
Yeah, it is quite common for playback ones to have about the same vocal doubled at about 50% on the track as a safety. Most playback groups do that. It's just makes it more consistent and generally better for the live shows.
It's about 110% at Melfest, though, isn't it? To the point they don't even have to
there
sing.
We go. There we go. It was coming.
I couldn't possibly comment.
I knew that was coming like rabbit in headlights. Now let's move across to Elliot. Evening, Elliot. Are you okay?
Evening. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. I'm excited to talk about Estonia. Really do enjoy them at Eurovision, to be fair. So
now I'm going to give you a good starting point with this, right? Carl Killing, Westlife throwback. Yeah, he sits on a stool, stands up partway through. It's come out of the book. What do you think?
Okay, this is the weakest of these three we're talking about, first and foremost. But mainly because I watched it and I was like, there's always... It feels like I'm at a house party. There's always that one person in the corner with a guitar playing this really soppy ballad and like, here's Wonderwall. It's that. And I'm just like, oh God. It's like he's got a good voice and the song is nice, but yeah, it's just a bit like, indie 18, 19-year-old going, oh, look at me trying to like break into the music industry. Here's Wonderwall at a house party. We see this 1,001 times, especially in Estonia because they're such an indie market. It's not bad, but yeah, in this group, it's the weakest by far. And it is, as you said, very throwback and very Westlife. And that's not the best compliment we can give it in a year where there's a lot of throwback sounds.
I don't know, he's got the look going as well. I think he does look a bit like Brian McFadden actually from 20 years ago as well, if we're being brutally honest about this. But you know, what about the other two songs though, Elliot? What did you make of them?
Supernova, there's something like really like sort of like throwback and like Beatles about it, like Ian and Donna said. Like the Red Glasses, I'm really intrigued about them as well. They're a bit of a choice, but Ivo Linna, is a huge name. I remember when he competed in 2016 or 17, 18, one of those years he competed in. He did really well in the televote, and the song wasn't great, but it still shot up and did really well because he's basically a living legend in Estonia. So I anticipate it to do well because he has such a devoted fan base, and the song is nice and it is performed very, very well. I'm trying to focus. And Uku, well, it's not his best song he sent to Eesti Laul. I'm with Martin. I do think Pretty Little Liar was the best song he sent. But it's co-wrote by Sharon Vaughan, who we worked with last year, and then she also wrote Scream as well for Sergei Lazarev. So there's a certain theme with the song she's put on. And it's not bad. He's got a great voice. He projects a lot more this year, I think. You can see he really wants it. And yeah, the chains dropping, as weird as it was very memorable and impactful. So I do think he's got a very good shot. And, you know, last year in the super final, considering it was Yagup or whatever his name was, like the big heavy favourite to win us overall, Uku won that super final with like 70% of the vote. So he is a loved person within Estonia, and I don't think that love has vanished. So do I think it's his to lose? No, but he's definitely going to have to keep an eye on him in the super final, because I definitely think he will be there without a shadow of a doubt.
Cool. Thanks for that, Elliot. And do you know what? To wade in and wrap up the Uku debate, I'm going to go to Steve, because I know Steve is also a fan of Uku as well.
Yeah, so on the three songs, I'm less of a fan on Ivo, Lena and his son and backing group and stuff. I just couldn't get into that at all. And of course, he represented Estonia in 1996, which is 25 years ago. And he looked old then, so I don't know what age he is, but he's certainly wearing well. I just couldn't get into that at all. It was just maybe because it was in Estonian. But as for Carl with his centre parting, it reminded me of me in the kind of 80s with my centre parting and everything and floppy hairdo, which was the kind of the fashion a good 30, 40 years ago. I quite liked that song. I thought it was sweet. I liked it, but didn't love it. But I thought it was just a nice song, and I think it deserved to go to the final. As for Uku, well, I think he's a class act. I like this song better than the one he won with last year. I think he'll definitely be in the super final 3, and I'm pretty much in agreement with probably what other people think, the people who think that who the top 3 are likely to be, and they're all in one way or the other previous winners of this final. I think he could win. I think he might not, but I think it's a good song, and he's quite fit as well.
Oh, and of course, that didn't play any
None whatsoever.
Calculation into your liking of that at all. I wouldn't have thought so. We have had a question.
A lucky one. Sorry.
We have had a question from the chat room who wants to know Phil and Michelle's opinions on Supernova. Now, I know they've got notes on all the songs there. Phil and Michelle, in a few short words, your opinions on Supernova.
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I love the idea of a son and his father singing when we've all been split apart from everybody, and I thought it was quite emotional and lovely. I really liked it, and you know that I love an old man, so you know what's not to like about it. Go on, what do you think?
But yeah, it was nice. It's a nice sort of warm song. I mean, you know,
you don't like it, do you?
It's all right. It's all right. I probably don't like it as much as you do.
You're just heartless.
It's not my favourite.
Oh, I just think it's sweet. Oh. I think it's something that we need in this time. Something sweet.
It is true. We do need to kind of have things that kind of bring us together, maybe make us a bit more nostalgic and stuff as well these days. Stu, the chat room seems to be a hive of activity this evening. Give us the latest in the chat.
I'm trying to remain composed. I think this comment sums it up. The panel and chat are thirsty tonight. I'm not sure the panel are. Certainly, there's some hunger and thirst going on in the chat. I don't know whoever James is, but he's absolutely making my year right now. Keep it coming, James.
And don't forget, if any of those songs were your favourites, go to menti.com, 96 24 24 8, and the results will be revealed at the end of the show. Little John's just put in the chat, is this a cabaret show tonight? It's a cabaret every night on ESC Fan TV, just to keep watching. Let's have a look at Group 3. There we go. Another set of varied songs there. Don't forget, let us know your favourites in the chat as well, because we want to keep the conversation going. I think we can say that is quite varied. Yuri Pootsman, I think, actually being overlooked as a returning artist, obviously represented Estonia in 2016 with Play. Let's go straight to Elliot. What are your favourites in this group? And, you know, do you see any of these making it through to the super final?
Well, I've actually got 2 of my top 3 in this group, so this is a good group for me. And we'll start with Sissy with Time. I really love this and have on first listen. It's a lovely gospel ballad. She's got a great voice. She competed a few years ago and did really well. I'm a little disappointed that she couldn't get through in the jury combined score on the semi-final, had to rely on the televote to get through. So I'm not thinking she's going to do well in the final, sadly, just because she had to rely on the second round of voting to get through. Because she's a great singer and has great potential, and obviously her father won Eurovision, so it would just be nice for her to follow on in that little footsteps as well. That'd be quite nice. Yuri Portsman, I mean, fantastic singer, very different to Play. The song translates to Sweet Melancholy, and it's very indie, very hipster, but I love how it's shot as well. It's a very different way of using camera work, and I think it works really well. And just to carry on with the thirsty vibe, it's Yuri Portsman in leather trousers. What's not to love? Tartu, I mean, what fresh hell fever dream did this get birth from? I don't know if I hate it, I don't know if I love it, I don't know if I'm confused by it. It's just a really random 3 minutes, and I don't think it's going to win, because again, it had to get through the public support, but that means it's got massive public support. So God knows how this is going to play out in the final. I don't know what jury is going to give this any marks. I'm really intrigued to see how this does in the final. And I'm so confused by it. But it's weirdly hypnotic. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I feel like I'm watching a cult do a dance on stage.
Maybe they're trying to pull you into their cult, Elliot. Have you ever thought of that one?
I don't want to be a part of it. I'm good. I'm happy here.
Brilliant. Now, 2 people I think who would love to be drawn in the Tartu cult is Phil and Michelle, obviously.
Oh, yes.
We love a cult.
Oh, yes. Tartu, what's not to love? These are 2 guys who were in Winnie Pooh, I think, in 2013 in Eesti Laul, which was even more bonkers than this. But this is fantastic. I mean, you've got a whole list of fairly sort of moderate, mediocre, forgettable ballads, and then along comes this like a big kick in the testicles. It grabs you. I mean, you've got
Grabs you where? By the testicles.
Well, you've got the guy looks like the 5th Teletubby screeching away. Apparently, it's a list of towns in Estonia and a statement that they're all little wooden towns, and that's basically what the song's all about.
Little wooden towns.
You've got the guy with a mask that becomes a pair of wings, and the step ladders, and the
Don't spoil it for everyone.
backing dancers who look like something out of a 70s Doctor Who episode. It's mental. I love it. This is what a real cultural orgasm is.
I thought I'd taken the wrong tablet tonight when I watched this. I thought it's like a nightmare about a kids' TV program, isn't it? It's bloody brilliant. Who thinks of these things? It's got to be somebody that's on drugs that thinks these things up. But it's a pure class. If you send that to Eurovision, it's going to stand out. You're going to forget all your ballads and everything. You're just going to think, I can only remember that one song. I better vote for it. Could be a winner.
Yeah.
Could be. To be fair, given the lockdown last year, I'm going to throw this out there. I suspect there were some of these songs that were written on drugs anyway. I'm just suggesting, just throwing it out there.
Last year you had the sausage guys, didn't you? Was it Capacoe LA or something that was almost as mental but not quite? And then before that you had.
We're supposed to be going on about the other songs in this group.
But yes, okay, all right then.
So should we start with Sissy?
Sissy, yes, and the big hair.
I'm sorry, Elliot, but did nobody else think that they were just ripping the Mamas off? Was it not just a bad version of the Mamas?
Yeah, it's a nice song, a bit gospelly, but
it was a bad version of the Mamas. Okay. I think they thought because they didn't have it last year, nobody will know what the Mamas song was. We'll rip it off. We'll send it because nobody will have heard it before, apart from Eurovision fans. I think that's what they were doing. They were trying to sneak one past. I don't like it.
Yeah, Yuri Portsmouth. I mean, when he was there in 2016, he had a really deep voice. He sounded like the Crash Test Dummies, and now he's gone all falsetto, and it's really strange. It was all right. I think you thought it reminded you of something, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it sounded like Loic from Belgium 2015, and he was even trying to do the bizarre sort of video thing and all that, but he didn't do it quite as well. But he was good looking. He was wearing leather trousers. It'll do for me. I could watch him all day.
Hey. Now, I have to say, Elliot wants his right of rebuttal about the Mamas comment, even though, and I will say, it's been mentioned in the chat as well, that Sissy's Time is a pleasant song, well performed, a tint of the Mamas perhaps without the attitude. Elliot.
Yeah. My point is this. Sissy competed before the Mamas were even John Lundvik's backing dancers, so who did it first? Sissy competed 2 years ago before the Mamas were even known, and with a very similar song. So she hasn't ripped them off. That's her style.
Well, she should know better then, shouldn't she? No, you're wrong, Elliot. She should know better. Always.
We also have a rare moment where Gustav in the chat is also agreeing with Elliot, which is a rarity. But I do believe we need another set of opinions on this. We need a referee, and who better to referee this discussion and this debate? It's Stu. Stu, what are your thoughts on these three songs?
Well, why don't we start with Redl and Tartu? So I thought, in preparation for tonight's show, I would research what Redl and Tartu actually translates as. And it turns out, Redl translates as winner. So there you have it. However, Tartu translates as just kidding. This is quite honestly a combination of when the prodigy meets Beavis and Butthead and someone who throws him down the stairs. It's absolutely dreadful. I can't understand what the Estonians were thinking about, Tom, when they thought this was a good idea. Yeah, it's right at the back of the queue along with Kaya Tam and Vozindi Katzen. Let's talk about Yuri Portsmouth, because I actually say good to see Yuri back, and we know when we see a returnee from Eurovision alumni, it's nice to see them back in their national finals. Nice performance. He's obviously competing with Koitu as to who can hit the highest note in Estonia this year. I think he might just have nailed that one. Yeah, and I quite like the staging of it. It kind of looks like he's looking through your keyhole. There's a nice blind of light sort of hitting his eyes, and it's all a bit sinister. Love it. And then finally, Sissy in Time. I get the Mama's comment. For me, it feels a bit more like a Christian campfire song. I find it a bit odd. It's big diva vibes from Sissy. It puts me in mind of her stood in front of a church, a bit like Whoopi Goldberg in the film Sister Act. Tom, back at you.
I was going to say, I'd just like come back to you slightly on this, Steve. Do you not think Sissy and the girls doing Heaven's Not That Far Tonight could cancel each other out in this vote?
Not really. Their song's half decent.
Oh, what a smackdown. Crikey. Well, okay. We'll move on then. Don't forget, guys, if any of those three songs were your favourites, go to menti.com. The code is 9624248, and we would love to hear what you think. By the way, in the chat, they do say, can you talk a bit faster, Stu? Just saying. Just throwing it out there. Right, guys.
Just learn English, Tom.
Oh, final group of songs then, featuring one particular returnee that's got rather a lot of attention so far.
Our dialogue sounded still dear, as if we could not speak. Though the chat between our eyes.
Okay, that was our final set of songs there. We're going to go straight to Steve to get the views on these. Let's start off with Koit Tume. It's no Verona, is it, Steve?
Oh, I love this. I love Verona as well for different reasons, but I think this is a super ballad. This is my favourite. He might not win, but I hope he does. It's beautifully sung, and his falsetto is out of this world. It was little bit shakier, I think, at the live performance in the first semi-final, so he probably needs to improve on this. But I think it's a beautiful song, and I hope it's going to do really, really well when the final's held. So yeah, I think it's my favourite in this selection. With the other one, the Pluto one, I want to call it. This was kind of all over the place. I mean, I didn't know what this was trying to do, but it just looked a bit of a mess. Not understanding the language probably didn't help, to be honest. But I just felt it looked a bit like a heap of mess, actually. It was just not very good. And then the final song, is it Catri? Have I written that down properly? I can't read my writing after 12
Kadri.
Kadri. I felt this was like one of those songs you see in a show, but you soon forget. And it's all a bit worthy. I'm a bit frightened that it's actually been saved to the end, because that kind of suggests that probably somebody thinks it's going to make the super final. But I didn't like it at all. It's like a secondhand song from a musical that's long since closed.
And there's a lot of them around at the moment. Funnily enough,
they're all in the other finals as well.
Yeah. this is very true. For me, I think with Kadri, I was trying to work it out, because I'll bring Martin on the discussion, because we were having a discussion before the show started about the song, and I was like, does anyone like Kadri's song? Because I wasn't that keen, and I know Martin's a fan, and I'll get him to explain his reasons in a moment. But watching back that clip again, I think I've kind of hit upon the fact that she just seems to move her head the entire time while she's singing. I think I just find it off-putting when she's doing all of that. Martin, you're a fan of this one. Why is this one one of your favourites?
Well, strange enough, I wasn't when I initially just listened to them all when you just had the videos on the ER website. But when she performed it, she's so much energy, as the song it suggests, but great vocals, great live vocals, and it's different to everything else that's in the lineup. I mean, I suppose Quick Term is probably the closest song to what she's got there, but she's well known in Estonia as a jazz musician, and I was a fan of Curly from 2017. I see her Instagram timeline, and she was actually filming Kadri doing her song, and I get the feeling that this is going to be a jury favourite. Now, whether that's going to be enough to get her into the semi-final, of course, last year we had Annette, who was totally unexpected to get, and Annette and Freddie get through to this. They got through to the super final totally unexpectedly. I'm wondering whether Kadri might be the one that everyone goes, wow, where did she come from? As for the other two, I mean, Koitoma, he's going to be, I would think he's going to be in the super final. He's got the ballad of the show, and it's a great one, more like his 1998 effort at Eurovision than 2017. So yeah, I would put him in the super final. And as for Andrea and Pluto, I didn't particularly like it when I heard it the first time when I watched it on Eesti Laul semi-final. So I'm not going to like it now. So yeah, I'd have that. It's there because the public liked it enough to get it through. But I think it's going to be sort of way down the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, how can I put this really nicely? In actual fact, I think I kind of agree with Neil in the chat on this one. Andre and Pluto, don't call us, we'll call you. I suspect that's what Benjamin Ingrosso looked like when he was 16. They do look like a little bit of the teenagers dressed to impress a little bit. Ian and Donna. We'll start off with Andre and Pluto. We'll move on to the others. I mean, does this stand any chance whatsoever?
No,
realistically not.
It's odd. I mean, it's the fact that if it was in English, you might have a better idea of what it's about, but it's a bit weird You know,
I mean, I quite liked it when it started off. The play between the guy on the stage, the guy in the studio, and you kind of think, "Oh, interesting. What's going to go on here?" And then he's just had enough. He goes down to the stage, and then the two of them get together, and it looks seedy as anything. You know, I wouldn't trust the two of them in a club. If you know, even if it had a few drinks, I wouldn't be anywhere near them.
Yeah.
So
which one's got the roofies on them?
Well, sorry, boys, but yeah, not good. So realistically, I don't think they've got a chance for the super final. The other two, however, definitely. Coit, it's a beautiful song, isn't it? You think this is going to be like the Duncan Lawrence of the Estonian final, but it's more than that, though, isn't it?
It is good, and it shows he's competed before. He's been to Eurovision. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and he delivers on it. The song's good. His performance is spot on. It looked great on the way it was staged. It wasn't over the top. But yeah.
He was playing that piano live, I think, as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, even if you're not hearing it, you have to be able to play it live which coming up with the other singer as well, as it'll bleed into the microphone. So he could have performed that just live with the piano. And yeah, it's good. That's you see the experience, you see the knowledge there, and he's I think that's probably the best one.
He's definitely a contender. It would be daft not to put him in the super final.
Is this going to be the reverse of what we saw on Saturday night? Because on Saturday night we had Tix placed 6th, we had Kano placed at the end of the show. Everyone thought Kano was going to win, and Tix won. Is this going to be a case of everyone thinking that Uku's probably, on balance, likely to get the nod to Rotterdam, but in actual, and being placed 6th as well. And then we have Coit lower down the order, coming up on the outside. Is he going to snatch the ticket?
To be honest, there's so many, isn't there? Returnees in this, and any one of them could actually get it, I think. It's a strong competition from some very experienced performers. And a lot of them have very good potential. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It could happen.
And there's the last song of the night, which could be quite a wild card. Because I think it's fantastic.
It's an interesting one to finish on, isn't it? It's not what you'd think you'd place to wrap up a show, really. But it's a bit less musical theatre, but it definitely is a jazz bar kind of number, isn't it? And she's got a great set of vocals. Yeah, really good.
There's a raw power in that song that stands out from the other ones, and it's the last It's the last thing people will hear before we go into voting. So that could be a strong contender. It really is, and I think her voice is fantastic.
You can also understand everything she says as well, which helps, rather than the rest of the kind of nasally English that it's an interesting dialect, let's say.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think you can never tell. I always think when the songs are right at the very end, sometimes you get the case of where people feel like they've already heard their winner. So therefore they become less interested, and they've already slipped away to kind of be by the phone to vote, or they've slipped away to go and make their cup of tea or something else. And then other times you get it where they just don't feel like they've, found that magic moment yet, and therefore they are hanging on.
This last song could have worked for both groups.
It's going to be interesting.
Stands out for the first group, and will stand out for the second ones. Yeah. We will see.
It's going to be an interesting one. Stu, what's the chat room saying about all of this?
In general, they're kind of talking about Coit Toom quite a bit. Wingman being second in the final. Not a lot of anyone's talking about Kadri. I'm quite surprised by that. I'm going to make a bit of a controversial statement now, Tom. I'll speak slower as well because apparently I talk too fast. Kadri might win this whole thing. I think it's one of the strongest songs in this final by some distance. It's a mix between Beverly Craven and Alison Moyet, and it's beautiful. Really, really cool song. The obvious choice is Uku Suviste, and that's because of the goodwill that he's built up over the past year. In fact, he should go through because he deserves a chance on the Eurovision stage, right? But we saw with Finland last weekend that doesn't always happen. So who knows? I think in every national final where there's a returnee, you're going to say, well, they probably are going to win. But all bets are off after Finland.
Interesting. Now, panel, get yourselves ready because in a moment, once I've finished doing some plugging, you guys, I'm going to ask you for the songs you think are going to make it to the super final, and also the ultimate winner, the one that you think is going to walk away with the ticket to Rotterdam in May as well. Whilst the panel are quickly making up their minds, what a good opportunity it is just to tell everyone, one, to like and subscribe. If you're there on YouTube, like and subscribe, ding a dong our bell, and we can let you know when we're going live again. Coincidentally, that's going to be at 9 o'clock on Sunday evening when we go live with our Melfest semi-final 4 review. An exciting week for Melfest this week because it features a few returnees that you might have heard of. There might be the small matter of a singer from Alcazar. There might be the small matter of the Mummers who were supposed to go and represent Sweden last year. There might even be the rather large matter of Eric Sada coming back to the stage, being the final song to perform as well. And we've got all that covered in our review on Sunday night. Now, back to Estonia we go. I'm going to start with Steve. Who are your top 3 and who's going to get the ticket?
I think the top 3 are Uku, Yuri, and Koit. I don't know who's going to get the ticket, but I'm hoping it's Koit.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve. Let's go down to Phil and Michelle.
Our votes are going to
Heaven's Not That Far Tonight.
yeah,
And the Supernova one, Evo and Robert.
yeah, whatever they're called. The old bloke and his son.
Okay,
Oh, we're gone.
thanks for that, guys. Martin, what about you?
Well, as I said earlier on, I think you can't really look past Uku, Yuri, and Koit, really. And I'd probably go for Uku just purely because of the televote over the last couple of years.
Okay, interesting. Ian and Donna.
I think I'm going to follow suit, really. Koit and Uku, definitely. My other third place would be a choice between the father and son and Kadri, actually. I'm not going to rule her out.
Yeah, similar, yeah. Koit, Uku, and I hope Kadri, and I think she, as Stuart said, I think she could take it.
Okay. Elliot.
My 2 definites are Kadri and Uku, and I think Kadri is winning the jury vote, to be honest, because it's, as Stuart said, it's a phenomenal song. The third spot, I think, is between Yuri and Koit, and I think it's going to go to Yuri just because it's a more different song. Koit is very similar to Uku, and I think once in the super final, who knows, because very rarely does the winner of the first round win the super final. If I had to guess, Uku, just because he won by a landslide last year. But I genuinely don't know out of those 3.
It's a good a reason as any, isn't it? It's a good a reason as any. And finally, Stu.
So I'm going to go with Uku Suviste. I think it's a no-brainer. He finds himself in the final 3. I think Kadri will be one of the final 3 as well. And I think the third one in the final 3 is a bit of a toss-up between Carl Killing's Kiss Me and Bobby Socks with Heaven's Not That Far Tonight.
Do you know what, Stu? And this is why we've been friends for so long, because your top 3 more or less dovetails with my own. I would love to see Heaven's Not That Far Tonight get the golden ticket. Alas, I think I'm going to say it's probably going to go to Koit, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Uku get it. In actual fact, there's a whole handful there. I wouldn't be surprised to see get it either. And people here know that me giving my support to any song is basically giving the kiss of death to their chances anyway. So whatever I've said, don't even take it with a pinch of salt. just go and place your money elsewhere. Now, you have been voting all evening on our poll on who will win Eesti Laul. You can see we've had a number of voters there. We are going to close the voting. That's it. It's too late. If you haven't voted, you should have voted already. You've had all show. And the winner is Coit Tume. 144 points there for Coit. We've got Uku just behind on 135. Yuri on 128. And then we've got a big gap down to Heaven's Not That Far Tonight on 99 points. Interestingly, Kadri, mentioned by the panel a lot, he's down there just on the right-hand side of the scoreboard, 69, clustered with Evelina and Supernova, Kiss Me, Carl Killing, and Time Sissy. And right at the bottom there, poor Hans sat there with 33 points. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Now, Eesti Laul, the final, takes place on Saturday, the 6th of March. Okay, not this Saturday, but Saturday, the 6th of March. So you've got a week and a half to listen to these songs in more detail, to work out who you think's going to win. Keep the conversation going afterwards by commenting on this video, but also don't forget to head across to our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Insta. Go and say hello to us all on there. And the panelists are all there and quite willing to have a natter with everyone as well. Now, all that leaves me to say is, first of all, a big thank you to everyone that's been keeping the conversation going in the chat room, but also a big thank you to my panel. It's a big thank you to Phil and Michelle. They're just waving, bless them. They're on mute. A big thanks to Steve.
Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it and see you soon.
Big thanks to Martin from Let Me Be the One radio show and blog.
Thanks to you, and thanks to everyone for watching.
Cool. And don't forget, you can actually catch up with some of these songs in full by listening to Martin's show as well, which you can find via Mixcloud. It is Mixcloud, isn't it, Martin? There we go. Via Mixcloud as well. Big thanks to Ian and Donna.
Cheers.
Thanks very
fun.
much.
It's been a lot of fun tonight.
Hey. Big thanks to Elliot.
Thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun as always. See you next time.
So, and Elliot, I do believe you've got an interview coming out soon as well.
Yes, I do. So early today, me and Mr. Brook were very fortunate to speak to Finnish act Blind Channel, and that should be coming later on this week. It was a lot of fun, and we talk about them as a band and will they be changing the lyrics or not to Dark Side.
Cool. We look forward to watching that. And also a big thanks to my co-host and the man in the chat room. He doesn't talk too fast. He just gets excited. It's the lovely Stu.
Thanks, Tom. And thanks to my man in the chat room, James. Lovely to see you tonight. It's actually been really fun in there. There's been a lot of activity, a lot of people quite undecided. I think it could be a bit of a mixed bag for Eesti Laul, Tom. But either way, we're going to have a fun final.
Exactly. Lots of fun. And that, of course, is Saturday, the 6th of March. We're back on Sunday, 9 p.m. Central European time. We're going to be going through and reviewing all those Melfest songs that come from semi-final 4. There's going to be lots to look out for in there. In the meantime, keep the conversation going on social media, and we'll see you later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.